Thank you for reminding me about recording. We're all on camera now, so again, well, doubly. So for updates for our Foothills to Plains, the Colorado plant database, we are kind of wondering if we're toying with getting an intern to work on the database. That's correct, Erin? Yeah, we'll see. But Jenny and Jeffco might be getting an intern. So that intern would be working on the Colorado plant database, getting it all updated and in order. And I know for a lot of you, that database is not accurate. So you guys have been wanting to get it updated for a while. And we're wondering if any of you guys would be willing to help with that intern, kind of guide them to what needs to be done and give them guidelines on changes and check their work, because you guys know the plants best and know what areas are inaccurate on that website. So
I would be willing to work with a group on that, but I cannot review 500, 600, 700, whatever it is. I already have a list I've started of inaccuracies, out of date information, and downright wrong information for a few of them. But if we had a committee and we could kind of divide up the plants to help this person review and update, that might be great. I'm the scientific name coordinator for Conips Aquilegia. I don't have time to do that for the entire database, but I'd be glad to help on a portion of it or in some way with a group.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Have you thought about not using it? We list it on our list of recommended sources, but we list it last because it is not good, right?
Right.
I wonder whether it's worth your effort, because there's so many other things out there that are heads and tails better, that are easy to get to, whether it's worth your time and effort to bother with that database anymore. I mean, Elizabeth can tell you a lot more than I can, because she's looked at in detail. I mean, it needs so much work. Right. So that's just the thought I would put out there, is I would really weigh the value of it. I know somebody put in work way back when, and you hate to lose that, because somebody was proud of it way back when, but it's fallen too far behind.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents worth on the idea.
I second what you're saying, Heather. I think that's true, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it would be nice if we had one place where all Colorado plants were described accurately online. I'd love to see Agrifield online with photographs for each plant. I mean, that's
Jennifer about
that. I know, wishful thinking.
And that database was largely funded by the Colorado Natural Heritage Program that we partner with. So we certainly relay that feedback, but they certainly have weight in that decision too. And
I can see that, but I would hope they would want to be proud of what they're funding, and I think probably that's a valid argument to put out to them when they make their decisions. And if they funded it, maybe they should take care of it.
Do you guys for Sandstone have a site-specific book that generates from that database, or do you have just a blank?
Blank.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe that's the best way moving forward. I know Roxborough does have a site-specific book. Is that right?
We do. We don't. What we get isn't complete. It was, I think, created for like June blooms,
Mhm.
And so if we try to use it earlier in the year or later in the year, it's not complete. So it's, you know, just partly useful, and then it's not really updated. So
Right.
there's an issue with that. It does contain some really good information that we wouldn't get in Ackerfield. So more information about the plant. So in that way, it's of value, but you know, updating all of it, it's not all up to date. So, you know, it's nice to refer to that, refer to Ackerfield, refer to all kinds of different sources, but it would be great to have one source, you know, have all of our good information, but we're not going to get we're not going to get our pictures. We're not going to get a lot of the interesting information about the plant that can, you know, because Ackerfield can just put so much in there.
Right.
So anyway.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I just want to make sure I understand correctly. The books that are site specific, that information is from that database. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
so. You know, I don't know if
Yeah.
you were at database.
And that was the primary, well, a primary reason why we did not want our book to be site specific, because we started looking at specific plants we were teaching and the information was so wrong. Details about the plants wrong, out of date names, and we were already dealing with 2 different versions of our primary source book, and having to say it changed from here to here to here to here is not good for teaching beginners, for sure.
Mhm. Okay. All righty then. We'll take that back to them and let them know what you guys said about that.
I mean, I would be quite happy to use a site-specific book if we had a staff, like you talked about, dedicated to updating it, but updating it once isn't enough. They need to have somebody dedicated to updating it for all the changes based on DNA. And so,
It's
you know,
constant.
it's always going to be out of date. I mean, even Ackerfield has already said, you know, in my newest version, here's a plant that's out of date. Brand
Already.
new edition. So keeping that up to date is a major job.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about how many plants are on that list, a couple 3,000? Do you know on the database? Because if someone
Mhm.
reviews it, they're going to have to review every single plant,
Mhm.
every single sighting, everything, those thing about the way it's written, all the photos. The time I gave up on it is one time, I can't even remember the plant. I went out to look at a plant and the photo was wrong, right? So I just, okay, I'll use something else where I don't have to be a warden on what I'm, as much of a warden, because you are on everything that you ever use. You have to, even some of the wonderful sites like Minnesota has issues. Ackerfield, as Elizabeth said, has issues on her new one. So you're a little bit of a constant warden. But when I was out on your database, I felt that it was more or less constant for me, a constant worry. And the other ones, it's, oh, look, I found something odd, right? So, I mean, they'll be there, but you know,
And the tool itself needs some work. The search engine is very flaky. You have to, I mean, you can put in the whole scientific name and it won't find it, and it's in the database. It depends on where you put it, what word you put in which field. It's very flaky. We need somebody who's an expert at, quite frankly, online databases to look at that search engine and update the search engine, not just the information on the site.
But it's a constant, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll let you know what comes out of our meetings about that. So, in the agenda, it has information for me and Micah and Lisa if you ever need to contact us. especially when we start getting all these classes loaded into Eventbrite. I know there's a lot of emails back and forth and questions, so. And now we're moving right along. Have you guys talked about any dates for your classes yet?
Elizabeth, I'll let you go on.
We know that we want to do a class. We have 3 instructors who are quite willing to do a class. We haven't talked about specific dates yet. And we have a couple of people who might like to come and observe part of our class. We don't need assistants teaching the class because 3 instructors is about all we can handle at once. But we do have a couple people who'd like to observe and who would like to come out and look at the open space, because we're in a restricted area. People can't access other words and otherwise, and we're very happy to do that. We have, the holidays have been busy. We haven't met yet to decide definite times, but spring,
Ballpark?
late spring sometime. Heather?
I'm guessing last year we ran the last week into June. I mean, we ran from the last weeks in May to the early weeks in June. And I was thinking maybe we were not thinking maybe we'd push it back up a week. So somewhere in that late May, right, Elizabeth, ballpark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't
So-
want it quite as early in May as we did it one year, because
Where we swept.
Heather and I were teaching it. We were the only instructors then, and we were brushing snow off of plants to look at. We don't want to do that,
Right.
but late May would be good.
Yeah. And Elizabeth, if you even want to, use a couple days in a week to get it into May, that would be good. I know last year at Roxborough, we did ours. We do ours on a rotating basis, and it was our turn for Roxborough to do it in May. So that's why I think we kind of pushed you to June to teach then. And so this year we would be doing late June into July. And so if you want to go back to those earlier times, that would be open for you there. And we'll try not to, we just don't want to overlap the plants
Right.
too much.
We do like our spring wildflowers.
Yes, they are fun. Yeah, it's a good time of the year.
And then, do you have any ideas, Sharon, if you want to do 2 at Dawson Creek this year? Are you willing to do 1 still?
I'm willing to do 1. Lucinda and I were just back and forth on dates. So we'll have to get back on that.
Okay.
And see if we can coordinate around some of the other classes around too.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I misspoke. I think for the Roxborough one, it would be, we did spring last time. So now we would be doing June. So, we could try to start a little bit later in June, but June would be our time that Sue and I would be doing Roxborough.
Okay.
And it's usually Tuesdays. So it would be 3 Tuesdays in June.
Okay. All righty.
In Plains
Now-
Conservation Center, Lucinda and Eric, are you still interested in co-teaching?
Yes, I'm definitely willing.
Sure, is Fendi gonna do it?
Don't know yet. We haven't, oh, Eric, you might know.
Eric might know.
Yes.
I haven't talked to Fendi specifically about that.
Okay.
I'm sure she'd be willing to help if she's available. But
Well, yeah, I think 3 would be plenty there, Lisa. So if Fendi wants to do it, then I can just do Dawson Butte, but we can figure that out. And hopefully we'll have more moisture next summer.
yeah, it was so rough last year.
May at PCC I loved it with all the poppies and the prickly pear. I mean, that was just gorgeous, but I don't know if you want to do it that early.
Yeah, that feels a little early for me.
That's when Heather and I did it, right?
Early.
Yeah.
I can't remember the dates exactly, but I remember the prickly pear poppies. So when they were blooming.
Yeah, when we came around that corner, it was
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty.
I think we moved it because we wanted to focus on grasses out there. But
What,
then
September?
that's why we
Really?
moved it to September originally, was to get the grass piece.
Right,
But but then this past year was so dry,
it's crazy.
it wouldn't
Yeah,
have been
in
it wouldn't have been
reality-
a nice class.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And in reality, the grasses pretty much, from what I've been watching this last season, because I didn't really have a good feel for it. But the equinox, the June equinox, when you right around that date, late 20 something of June into early July, right in that time frame, you tend to catch both the warm and the cool season grasses in different form and function, right? And so I was thinking that if looking at grasses, that ballpark timing rather than in September would almost be a little bit more interesting, at least the grasses around here in Douglas County. So, because I fiddled with grasses last year I gave a Zoom class through the Conservancy on grasses. And that was one of the issues, because I thought I should wait a little later in the season to do it, to allow people to come to the house and look at samples. And when I really started to pull them, I thought, maybe I'd be little bit better off being a little bit sooner. And I was more into the late August, early September when I gave the Zoom, I think. So just FYI, 2 cents worth from my learning curve, right?
Well, that place is just so beastly hot
Mhm.
during summer
Oh, yeah.
that it's
No
kind of
kidding.
good to get the spring or the fall,
That makes sense.
Yeah, if it's a choice between spring or fall, I think spring is preferable.
Maybe we could target late May as into June. Is that getting too late, or is that a good time frame for you, Eric?
That's doable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe the 3 of us can touch base, and if anyone wants to join in, that's great too. And we'll figure out some dates.
Okay, yeah, I'll ask her.
And then Cherokee Ranch we did last year. I don't know if we're gonna have anybody to do that one this year. Unless
Who gave the class last year at Cherokee?
Lenore and Lucinda and Sharon.
and
Oh.
Colleen and
And then
Cynthia.
Colleen and Cynthia helped, yeah.
Oh,
Lenore was very gracious in her training. She dragged us all along with her good education.
It was tough last year because it was so dry,
Yeah.
incredibly dry there.
And windy.
And,
Yeah,
yeah,
oh, windy. Oh my
yes,
gosh.
for sure. Yeah, that was an unfortunate class. It didn't go well. Yeah. I am not doing courses anymore. I have signed up for a couple of day classes through day hikes through Jeffco, and I'd be happy to do 1 or 2 day hikes. I'd even do one at Cherokee maybe, but the problem last year, there were several problems, and it seems to be a little wetter this year, but getting access to do pre-hikes was really an issue last year. That really hampered us quite a bit.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's, if that situation can be remedied or not, but we just really didn't have enough time to be able to plan.
So I've never been there. What's the habitat like at Cherokee Ranch?
It's actually very nice. Usually Paniotti, if you know him, he's led hikes for Denver Botanic Gardens, and he claims that there is a montane element there.
Okay.
So it's in the Black Forest.
Okay.
But where we teach I would say it's more foothills
Okay.
but in the other years that we've taught there, the plant material has been really, really good. Last year, it was not. It was just very, very dry. So I don't know if what sort of weather patterns there are there, but it was much drier than say Dawson or Sandstone for sure.
What time of the year were you out there?
Let's see, when
I think
was
it was in
May?
June. Let me
Or
look
was
at
it
my.
June? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Was it early June?
Oh, no, it was May.
June?
We did May
Was it May?
12th, 19th, and 26th.
So we were
Oh,
early.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Could have
were,
been.
which I
Yeah.
think we've done, I don't know, Elizabeth might remember because Elizabeth has done Cherokee with me before.
Yeah.
I think we've
And-
usually done it in May, haven't we?
On a good year, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
From my perspective, the best places to look at Sandstone Ranch are too far away for easy access.
Well, that's one of the
There's a
problems.
very,
Yeah.
very limited area that you can get to easily. I wandered all over it for 5 years because I was doing bluebird routes there.
Yeah.
And there are some wonderful places that are hard to get to and far away. And
But even close to the picnic
places that
house
are
as was
easy
nice
access
in a
for
good year.
classes.
Yeah.
And this is Cherokee Ranch, not Sandstone.
Cherokee. yeah.
Cherokee. Did I say Sandstone? Sorry, I
Yeah.
meant Cherokee.
That's right. I knew you-
I would suggest it more for a 1 day, but again, I'm not doing courses. So if anyone else wants to do a course there, that's fine. It's hard to predict anywhere how it's going to be. But my assumption is we've had so much snow so far that maybe we'll all be lucky this year. That's what I'm saying too.
Fingers crossed on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, well, it looks like we'll have at least 4, right? So Sandstone, Roxborough, Dawson Butte, and Plains.
I'm kind of getting interested in Cherokee Ranch myself, so I'm gonna plant that seed.
I
I can s-
can contact Janine and see. I do agree with Lenore that the logistics in that location last year were a little difficult. There was the confusion with the parking, so we'd need to clear that up with Janine. They also never billed us for the extra parking fee that they were so adamant about.
Oh, really?
And Janine several times throughout the year asked me if I'd gotten a bill yet, and we hadn't, and she was
Oh.
going to get back with their administrators. So I would definitely want to remedy that because we charged everybody $20 extra for Cherokee Ranch because of their parking fees. So
I think they were in fact, I know they were very stressed because of the pandemic situation and financial aspects, but yeah, there were a lot of things that came together last year to make it less than ideal. Yeah. The dryness.
but it is
of course. Yeah.
it is still
Janine's
great
Janine's
location.
not formally an employee there anymore. So
Okay.
if
Right.
it helps you, she'd be doing it out of the goodness of her
She
heart.
did, last year she did it as a volunteer, so that was a little bit
An intermediary.
difficult to- Yeah, it was
Yeah.
hard on her and there was just a lot of issues, really. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some other people you can talk to there that, we can make it more smooth. And I would say if you did collect money last year for the parking, I would offer that money to Cherokee Ranch if that was the intent for the money.
Yes.
Just for that same biome, it might be worthwhile checking with the Highlands Ranch backcountry, which I'm happy to do if necessary. They seem willing and interested in partnering with CSU for educational events. Could open us to a whole new audience of people who live in Highlands Ranch that participate in the backcountry. And they are administratively, at least in my experience so far, not complicated or pushy.
Oh,
And their property borders Cherokee Ranch, so you could essentially
Yeah.
have the same experience.
so they go into Daniels Park. Well, close to Daniels.
They border, yeah. So you've got Cherokee Ranch, then Daniels Park, and Highlands Ranch Backcountry owns to the west of Daniels Park and also to the south of Daniels Park.
Okay, yeah. Heather and I, well, Heather's probably more than I have, but we've hiked a little bit in that general area, not right in the Highlands Ranch.
Yeah, there's some nice plants if you can. I've done,
Early.
because they're limiting who can get on Highlands Ranch, I've done all of the East-West Connect that goes through it, right?
Mhm.
And in reality, some of the nicer plants that I've cheated on and gone into their territory on are very close to the parking that's right there on Griggs Road, the East-West Connect parking on Griggs Road, if you know where that is, at the it'd be
Yeah.
relatively close to the north end of Daniels Park. Daniels Park is tough, so there's not much there, but there is some real nice stuff right along that East-West Connect and into the off trails that are fairly close there to the parking. So it would be an easy place to get a lot of plants with not much movement. That's absolutely right. And then the rest of it, when you come off of that rise, I've hiked a lot of that, but I haven't been as enamored with the potential plants there, but it's all accessible because there's a number of parks that you can get to the east-west, the further, well, either direction you go from the Daniels Park area. There's plenty of places to access it. You just have to prove it, but you're absolutely correct that it's a wonderful little open space that I bet you they'd be happy to get a plant list on some of their trails, right? From people who know.
And the trail is open to the public there, so anybody can go on the East-West Trail.
Yeah.
Of course, we all always step off trail a little bit looking at the plants, but the other option is to offer it to Highlands Ranch people. And Sue lives in Highlands Ranch. She might be interested in that too. She might know where a lot of the good plants are in other places. Maybe you can rotate different sites. If you have 3 different days, maybe 3 different places to do the plants, that could be an option. So Sue might be really good. And or if you offered it to just Highlands Ranch people, I mean, you'd have a huge audience. I don't know how well that would go with CSU Extension saying it's just exclusive to Highlands Ranch homeowners, like the trails are just for Highlands Ranch homeowners, except for the East-West Trail.
Okay. I'm not familiar with any of those areas, so.
There's also Hidden Valley Ranch, which I've only seen a little bit of, but that one looks like it has some nice trails. It would be, just from what little I've seen of it, it would be for early in the year. But it's and they have a nice, what I've seen is the nice native plant garden that they've established at the entrance, but then there's some hiking trails as well.
Yeah. You know, Raylene would be very happy to do a plains class, and that would, of course, be more to the east, but she has some places that she would be happy to conduct a class. She brings it up to me every year, and I forget because she's just over the border into the next county. But I think they working with us through Elbert County for any native plant kinds of things, because they basically have Raylene to teach classes.
Yes. And Willie, I don't think is with Weld County anymore.
Yeah, Raylene said there's no more Willie with them.
Right. She did have a class where she taught somewhere on her property, a 1-day class last year. And then Willie also had his weed walk, Router Hess incline, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
So
Yeah.
we can still do those this year.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested in that. I think
Yeah.
Raylene.
I was going to say Prairie Canyon Ranch is also available, and Raylene's she knows about Prairie Canyon Ranch, so if she wanted to do maybe a day at Prairie Canyon, or if anybody wants to do the whole deal at Prairie Canyon Ranch, that would definitely be available. any
Okay.
month. Or do weeds, or we've done weed classes out there. And we've done 1-day native plant classes out there. And also grass classes out there too.
Okay.
We have some native plant masters who haven't been trainers, who are quite familiar with Prairie Canyon Ranch. We might be able to enlist them to assist.
Okay.
How about Castlewood Canyon too? I don't know anything about it, but I know it's,
Yeah.
had some friends that have really done a lot of botanizing out there.
Yeah, there have been native plant master classes there for years, and we just dwindled down as far as who's going to teach them there. But yeah, that's another good option. It's right next to Prairie Canyon Ranch.
Oh, okay, all right. And that would have been Gene Wilson, I know for one, which that's been a while ago.
Kathy Fisher, who was on the invite list for today, has always said she doesn't really want to teach a native plant master class, but she does wonderful guided hikes and is a volunteer at that state park. Though she says she's been working more at Roxborough and somewhere else recently, but she's very familiar with it and would be a good resource person.
Okay.
And then Pam Schultz, I think she's completed all of her native plant master classes too. She's been doing some great classes at Two Bridges at Bayou Gulch. And I went out with her last year on one of her prep classes that she was going to give to Wild Ones. Do you know that organization, Wild Ones?
Mhm.
So she does a lot of things for Wild Ones, and she did a great hike there. And there's some really unusual plains plants that are out there that we've found, or she's mostly found, Pam has. So Pam Schultz, she'd be a good source too.
Sounds like we need to do a little bit of recruiting for more people in the trainer
Yeah,
program.
we do. And they're out there. We just have to twist their arms.
Right.
But
If I
really-
could pull it off, I wouldn't mind leading a class. My knowledge, sort of ironic since I'm in Arapahoe County, is not prairie as well as the other habitats and ecosystems, but somewhere like Castlewood Canyon or Cherokee Ranch, I'd be happy to consider, or even, co-teaching or something. So I just want to throw that out there for like clamoring for more offerings.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
Colleen, are you still here?
I am.
Okay, so Colleen and Cynthia are both interested as well. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but I know you guys are interested and very capable of staying involved. So what do you say, Colleen?
We can help. We're not really leaders yet.
I mean, this is Cynthia. I mean, we're both,
Oh, hi, Cynthia.
to be the leader, it's very difficult. I mean, and Colleen, they'll tell you, I mean, we love Cherokee. We're very intimate. It's just that sometimes that too much like Elizabeth behind the scenes, and that's where it comes into it. I love Cherokee. I would love to help you out. I mean, Dina, and I do a 1-day course or even a 3-day. I would love to help you out. I mean, I just, it's a very, I call it a magical spot because it's deep in my heart, but we love it. I mean, Lenore taught us the first time that on one of our classes, and it is a very nice spot.
Yeah, I think the politics and the financial aspects are always speed bumps to get past, and it depends on their thinking at the moment. They haven't done any kind of
It's a very
biological hikes for a long time there now.
Yeah. They have, the problem is that they have, I guess the only way I can say is that they haven't figured out what they want to be when they grow up. I mean, that's the way you've got to look at it and approach it. I mean, because Lenore knows as far as what we went through last year, and I was just stunned. And as far as what they had to do, even on the parking, they have enough parking there. there's no reason for that. They have over 300 spots at Cherokee, so I didn't understand the additional $20 a person fee. So I mean, I'll throw that out to you on that part of it. They have a great habitat. I mean, what comes in there, it's just astounding in one spot when it's a hydrated area. But last year was a little dry.
Very
for a
dry.
class.
Very dry. Yeah.
I mean, we went out on one hike the day before, and then poor Colleen went to present the flower. And it was dried up because of the winds.
Yeah.
And so those things occur there. I mean, just like anywhere else, but it was in extreme circumstances. I mean, the winds were extremely dry up there, and it blew your face off. I mean, that's about the only way I could put it. But yes, I would be happy to help out.
Well, I think one of the challenges we had up there is that they were actively mowing while we were teaching, and so as
That
we
was-
got
yeah.
ready to teach something, they had taken the mower across it and it was gone.
There were so
Yeah.
many things that happened last
Thank
year.
you. Thanks for that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's right. It's like, could this get worse? And then it did. Yeah, it was just, but it still is a beautiful area.
It's a beautiful area, and I
Oh.
mean, it's just like what Elizabeth and Lenore are saying. There's a very nice hidden spots that you would never see certain things
Mhm.
I've not seen anywhere else.
Yes,
So
yeah. There's Aquilegia elegantula there, which I have never seen. I think you have, Elizabeth. That goes back to what Panayiotis said about it being a montane. There's a montane element, but if we can't get to that, anyway, I would suggest not giving up on Cherokee, but all I'm willing to do next year is one-day classes. So, but if anybody's interested in Cherokee, I'd say go for it, because you never know, it could be great next year.
and Dina, again, I will say, if you have the opportunity to speak and they're in a very open setting, go for it. I mean, I definitely would. I mean, if you want to call me, you're more than welcome to call me, and I would try to give you as many tips, lips, and everything else to try to help you and guide you through it. Because I've been up there, I think it'll be my 10th year. I do a lot of other gardening up there and to help out. So it's just change of management and political things. So, I just don't want to, dwell on that part of it, but I do love it up there.
So I didn't know you were still going, Cynthia. That's great that you're still.
Yeah, I still do things down at their headquarters,
Okay,
and
great.
then I'll do it at Chickamauga. I will do their planning up there. I used to do the castle's gardens as well, but I had to
Yeah.
step back from there.
Yeah.
And I do the other ones on my own. So I've done those for a number of years. So
Well, then
for the last 10 years.
Let's not leave it
Oh,
out.
I don't.
If we can.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the reason why I'm saying, don't cross them
Yeah.
off the list, please. I mean, if it's a one-day class, please, go ahead and do it, just to get your opportunity to go in there and establish yourself there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to make arrangements for pre-hikes. And
And
I think
pre-hikes,
maybe
yeah.
this year
Yes.
would be a good year to
Yes.
our program to work on developing the relationship. Because
It's a
we've
very
never
slow
really had a
process.
strong
Yeah.
relationship with them, and they don't seek us out. They used
You've
to
got to
have a
seek
really
them
good
out.
Denver Botanic Gardens relationship, but one of the people who helped on that bird and plant hike with Panayiotis passed away, and so they haven't done that
Yeah.
for several years. And I think we could develop a good relationship, but I'd rather work on developing a relationship for a year instead of pushing something that's had some difficulties. That's just my viewpoint.
It might be better to do a one-day thing there, just to.
Yeah, I definitely would say,
Yeah.
to get your foot in the door, do a one day, and then really, I mean, just to see how you feel on it, to get your comfort zone, instead of just going, into the deep end without seeing how,
If-
you know, what everything
Yeah.
else is going into
If
it.
that works, I would be delighted to do that with Cynthia and Colleen.
Okay.
I'm in.
They can keep me in order maybe.
Because I mean, to do a 1 day would be great. And,
Yeah, if they want us, let's do that. And if they don't, then, you know, so be it.
And
That's,
yeah, they definitely need to bring in income though. They're
yes,
they're really digging
they're hurting.
for more ways to make money.
yes,
Profit, plus they have to support the castle and the cattle and everything
Mhm.
else.
yes.
So, you know, if it's a parking fee or whatever,
well,
you know,
you know,
that's their way of.
that's a
doing
good
it.
idea. You're right. I know it costs over $1 million to run the ranch a year.
Mm. Yeah,
So,
Well, I'll look into Cherokee Ranch. I'll try to contact somebody that works there. And
I would go with Marilyn. If
Okay.
Yeah, Maryland's very good to work with.
Marilyn she is really great. I will say nothing but accolades with her. I definitely would go with her.
what date range are you kind of thinking?
I think when we've done like May, June. Lenore,
yeah.
what do you-
probably
May and
May,
June?
just yeah, probably May, I guess.
Okay.
We don't want to bump into other Mays, but yeah.
No,
Okay.
but you know, cutting the grass and stuff like that. I mean, I can work with Brandon who did that, and I asked him to stop, but he didn't realize how long to stop, and I should have just shoot him off. But that's my fault. I had stopped him, but I didn't stop him long enough.
Maybe we'll go next year and it'll be perfect. How about that?
It will be. It'll be perfect.
I've always loved it there. I just,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I would try to do a 1 day. I mean, if they charge
I agree.
if they charge
I
for the
agree.
parking, I can understand they're hard pressed for money.
and then if.
And
yeah,
I
then,
will
yeah,
back up, you know, on that part of it. Everyone's hard pressed for lack of funds.
Sure,
Right.
absolutely.
Okay.
But let's
Well,
keep
I
in
will-
mind, this class costs them nothing. For us to show up and run the class doesn't cost them a penny.
So to be honest with you, there's no manpower, there's no nothing. I mean, if we go on their guidelines between the hours of having the gates opened, closed, or whenever they're opened, so as long as we do those things, there shouldn't be any problems.
Okay, I will look into that for Cherokee. and
Okay,
let you
thanks,
three
Dawn.
know. Are there any other 1 day classes that any of you guys would be interested in doing? Okay.
I can talk with Cynthia and Colleen and do another one if you guys are interested. I'm not sure quite where.
Yes,
I'm
that's
already doing 2 at Roxborough with Jeffco, because I'm
I
sorry.
have a quick
they asked her
question.
here.
Do any of your classes have like prerequisites? I noticed
We-
it's
No, we encourage them to take any botany classes. Anything else for backing up, because we get a lot of people who've never been looking at native plants, and we, you know, we throw them right into Ackerfield. So
All of
that's,
our documentation has always said that a botany class and where's Lenore? And
Plant families.
family introduction to families
yeah.
class is a requirement. And boy, I don't want any students who don't have at least that knowledge. Because
Yeah.
if we have students that we have to spend half the class getting them up to, well, more than half the class, getting them up to date on what is a family. I think those things that have always been a prerequisite need to stay a prerequisite. And we don't check. It's the honor system. We say you either need a background in botany or you need to take the basic botany and introduction to families classes like Lenore has taught for years to get some level of back. I mean, we get people who've never opened Ackerfield and don't know that at the top of the page is the family name. I don't want that. I mean, they've got to have a little bit of effort before taking the class from my perspective.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I saw that requirement from previous classes just the other day, and I was like, well, we only have one or two, we have one basic botany class, but they're not all going to be able to attend that. And so how do we ensure that they have enough opportunities to meet those requirements before offering these classes?
I think some of them have been, of those classes have been recorded in the past.
Yeah.
Lenore's may have been, if they're recorded,
Yes.
you can do it online. I mean, we're not going to check up on them.
Yeah.
But man, if they can't open up their acrofield and understand the difference between a genus, species, and a family, and they don't know their very basic plant parts, it's really hard to teach the whole class fairly with students who do in the class.
There's a great botany class through the Great Courses, if you're familiar with the Great Courses. And if you've got a library card from the Douglas County Libraries, you can access it for free. It's like 24 episodes. And I actually went through that and I thought it was very, very well done. So that would be something that people wouldn't have to schedule. They could do it for free through the library. So we might put that in there as a resource if others want to take a look at it and make sure you agree that it's a reasonable course, but it's through the Great Courses and it's the teachers out of Regis. I can't remember her name, but I thought she did a great job.
That's great feedback. So maybe as an NPM program, we need to offer those resources so people could meet those needs so that they can come to your classes prepared. Because I hear your concern.
We do.
have
Last year,
done that.
Lenore did teach the plant families and then the was it botany?
Basic botany. and
Basic
plant science.
botany.
And also Kelly Ambler, she teaches out of Jeffco, but she's interested in also teaching the basic botany and the plant families. And so, and I think there's also someone in Boulder, maybe there. Anyway, there's some others, and I don't know. I guess this year's is going to be online still.
I don't know, 3 years, Heather and Barb and I have taught a 2 or 3 evening introduction to wildflowers class that starts with learning all the plant parts and the basics and then talks about families. I haven't talked with them to see if they're willing to do that again this year. It's a lot of work, but maybe what we could do is a little research on what's available out there that people could use, and we could offer up a list of places they could go to get that kind of training.
Sounds like Dawn thinks we have that a little bit, and so I'll try to put that together and make it a little more accessible. I mostly just wanted to hear what your feedback was, and it sounds like that is really important that we at least communicate how helpful it'll be also in their learning. Obviously it's helpful for you, but you got to mark it to the person and tell them why it's important that they do it.
I know that last year, Heather and Barb and I kind of worked with our one of the directors at Douglas Land Conservancy to kind of coordinate with the NPM program to offer it as both an NPM and a DLC class. But they wanted to ensure that DLC supporters could get into it. And it kind of became a good idea to just use it as a DLC class because DLC uses it for fundraising too. We charge a fee. So for working with the nonprofits, any of the nonprofits like Cherokee Ranch, DLC, any others, we do have a financial consideration for any kind of classes like that. Jackie's led a hike, a native plant master one day, I think, at Sandstone before. I don't know if she'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, I've done it at Prairie Canyon several times.
Okay.
We could do it at Sandstone or any of our other open space properties. Of course, there's no fee for it. And, if anybody else is interested in doing a one day class at any of the open space properties, it can be really fun. You can be a little bit lighter on the Acker field. I don't know if the same regulations hold true if we're just doing a one-day class. Then we're doing the 3-day native plant master class, which has different things you want for that credential for becoming a native plant master. But for a 1-day class, boy, we can cover a lot of things, and make it fun, because there's no, you're not going to be given anything that you have to, show that you've learned everything that day, So
Yeah,
And you're
and-
talking about doing this as the prerequisite for teaching them a 1-day course on teaching the plant families and the botany aspects, or just for a 1-day plant
Oh.
walk?
Oh, I just thought she was talking about just a 1-day class. What were you referring to, Elizabeth? Just doing a 1-day class for a class?
Mhm. I mean, it would be it would be pretty easy to do a 1-day class in an area where you're already teaching. And I don't know, Barb and Heather,
Mhm.
but I'd be glad to do that at Sandstone Ranch.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to bill it as a hike because my ankle's going to be limited. I'm after ankle surgery, I'm up to a half mile with pain on the treadmill. By the spring, I hope I'm a mile on a trail. I wouldn't want to bill it as a hike, but a 1-day wildflower class or something, I think
Okay.
would be quite
Well,
reasonable.
Lenore, Lenore and I did that one at Roxborough that was very popular. Remember?
Yes, yeah, right. And I was going to say too, well, two things. Back to what Sharon said, I think, in terms of like the great, I'm sorry, the great classes, that's not the term.
Great
But anyway,
courses.
but what I meant to say though is that's a really good resource, but how about if we make a page of resources that could be emailed to people? And then, the ones that are really gung-ho, or maybe everybody would look up some things and maybe do some things on their own. But the other thing is that if we're doing and we have been the last couple of years doing the basic botany and the plant classes on Zoom, you can get a whole bunch of people in,
Mhm.
but it's not that hands-on thing. So
Yeah.
then when we do, in fact, one of the classes I signed up to teach, it's at Roxborough, and hopefully Colleen and Cynthia will be able to join me. But the idea is just to reinforce the basic botany stuff, and just really to look at the plants and just, prepare people for the courses in essence. And then I think I'm doing a basic keying one as well. But that's, but I think we could, if everybody did, or people that want to do a 1-day class, just do, you can reinforce with, because most of the people that do the 1-days are more casual,
Right.
and they're more in the learning phase.
Can you guys send me lists of resources? Like, I know now the great courses, anything else you guys can think of, and I can compile a
Yeah.
sheet for our
Absolutely.
students for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Lenore, would you be willing to teach your plant families and the basic botany through Zoom again this year?
Absolutely. And just because we met, I don't know, a couple of months ago over at Jeffco, I gave them potential dates, and I said, I'm very willing to change those, but I gave them Saturdays because I didn't know if those would be the most popular, I gave them March 11th and March 18th. The 11th is for the basic botany and the 18th is for plant families. But again, and I guess, I don't know, I guess it can be as many people as you want on the Zooms.
Yeah, it
I
can be.
really
So
think people can do the Zoom, but I think they also benefit from
Yeah.
doing a little hike. But you can't take 50 people on a hike. I
Right.
mean, you could, but
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Maybe we double up in the counties and
That makes sense.
yeah, that way Jeffco participants and Arapahoe, Douglas, and Elbert County
I think,
participants.
didn't they do that last year? I thought they did.
We did invite some other counties. I
Oh.
think most of the students that attended, I
Because
think,
if you want me to do it on separate dates, I can do that. I didn't, but I just want to say to Elizabeth and all you guys, I would pay money to help you with a 1-day class at Sandstone.
Let's just put Let us
Interesting.
put on the radar a
That's just an
one-day
offer,
a
okay?
one-day class at Sandstone, and we're going to recruit.
It's not that I
Lenore.
adore
We
sandstone.
don't know when, but put that on the radar.
I think
Lenore,
there's a
you're
lot of
on.
benefit to the
We'll
one-day
do it.
classes. As I get old and feeble, I still think that it's very valuable to do the one days. And you and I can hobble along and just do it that way.
There you go. We'll bring a wagon. How's that?
That's right.
I like
Come
our,
on, Lenore.
That's
our
right.
method of teaching with 3 people, because we divide the.
That would be a
students up
good way
into
to,
3
you could even do
teams,
the
and
one day. Sure,
Students walk to where the instructor is. So
absolutely.
I can pretty much be in one small area.
Absolutely. Let's plan that. That sounds perfect.
And Elizabeth, you have the opportunity to drive wherever you need to go and meet the group there too. You
Well,
have that ability to do that. So you can move around, you can caravan the group around if you want to do that. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be a hike. It could be caravan stops.
Yeah, we
So-
can caravan to different spots, and
Yes.
more, that's easy to do in the west section of the ranch there. But we'll plan on that. We'll work with Jackie
Yes.
County and work with the NPM people to find a good date for that, and we'll put that together. I'm not so sure. I don't want to commit Heather and Barb, but I'll
If the date
our
work out,
arms.
I will do it. Sure. I'll pull the wagon and take you from place to place. Not a problem.
And I promise to sort of behave.
I don't know. Yeah, I may have to reach in.
Lenore, we do have you signed up for that date. We're actually just about to email people today. So for March 12th and 11th and 18th.
Oh, is that, are those good dates? Okay.
Those were great.
Okay.
So,
Oh, good. Okay.
all
right.
And then we're happy to open that up and share with another county if that makes.
I didn't know, I wasn't sure if Saturdays worked for you guys. I thought a lot of people that work might like that, but I didn't know if it would be hard for you guys to do.
Yeah, well, since it's online, it's a little easier. So that makes it easy to pop in. But I could see a benefit in adding one more basic botany class a little earlier in the season if we decided to do that. But I don't think it's absolutely necessary if you're okay teaching a large class over Zoom.
It doesn't matter. I think I like doing the Zoom. It's easier. However, when you do it in person, it does take longer, but people get to do hands-on stuff. So it's a give and take kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And last year, I think that we held ours before most all of the classes or courses started in May. So I think it's a good time frame, that those March dates, and we recorded them. So I don't know how many people I sent out the recording to for them to watch before they took our courses. So we would definitely do that again and cover all our bases, I think, for the prerequisites that way. People can either attend live, or if they end up signing up later in April for planes in June or whatever we have, then I can send them the recorded link, and Erin can send recorded links with their students as well. So, yeah. Is it going to be possible for you guys to get us your dates for the classes by the first week of February, maybe? Is that going to be a good time frame?
I think so, Heather, for us.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, we'll get it set.
Okay. I will look into some of the other, Highlands Ranch Backcountry. If John, if you could give me contact information for who you work with on that, I can look into that location, and Hidden Valley Ranch, Prairie Canyon Ranch. But it sounds like we're pretty much at capacity for all of our 3-day courses, and that a lot of these will be 1-day courses if we get into some of these other locations. Is that correct?
Seems like it.
Do we need more 3-day courses, or are we at a good place?
It would be 4 that we have. So Sandstone, Roxborough, Dawson, and Plains. So,
Did they fill last year? Did they all fill?
oh yes. Yeah.
They
Roxborough
filled-
sold out in the first hour that it was online.
Yeah,
And
if you have
the
another
next-
class, it'd probably fill.
Yeah.
Where would be a good place?
But
You
Probably
mentioned
would teach it.
Castlewood Canyon. Is that
Yeah.
one that's on the list?
I think
Yeah.
either Castlewood or Prairie Canyon could both be really good. They're next to each other. They're connected to each other. But if Castlewood would be willing, that would be great. Easy access in. They would just need to pay for their parking there. And also you'd have to deal with their manager to make sure that they aren't going to charge even an extra fee, or they might, what they usually want, like at Roxborough, is for a couple of their employees or volunteers to be able to get a free position in the class.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you also have plant lists for Hidden Mesa Open Space and Lincoln Mountain now.
Oh, you
John
do
Vic-
have plant lists?
Yeah,
Oh.
John Vickery has done detailed
Oh,
studies
okay.
on both of
Mhm.
those, and he's,
Oh, fantastic.
so, those are other places if, you're unfamiliar with potential plants out there, there is, a phenomenal amount of work that he's done. He's climbed all over both of those places and has very, very detailed. In fact, it's just finishing up Lincoln Mountains.
Yeah.
Lincoln Mountains now. Putting together the report, but I know he has the plant list.
And also Prairie Canyon Ranch too. He has a plant.
Did
list.
he do that
Very-
one too, Jackie?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Well,
Yeah.
Lincoln
So there
Mountain's
is
probably-
And Schmidt. Schmidt
Huh?
is another one, but that would be difficult to walk through.
Yeah, Lincoln Mountain
Is
would
it
be quite a long walk and quite a long uphill
Drive.
walk
Yeah.
to get to many of the plants. And that's one of the things, if we spend an hour walking to and from
Yeah.
the areas that
And
we want,
driving and driving.
that's
Lincoln Mountain's not bad down on the bottom open space, Elizabeth. It's amazing what we found there, because Barb
okay.
and I were out with him doing the surveys a number of times last year. We spent
Yeah,
mornings, and it's interesting how much is actually right there, right? So
Okay.
you can get, I think there's a class there with not too much climbing, right?
yeah. The plants that interest me the most are the ones that are along the trail that goes up to the top of the mountain and up on
Right.
the mesa.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
but
I
that's just
know.
me.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
There's
For
a lot.
novice, for a novice, a lot of that stuff would be new for people who aren't familiar. That's close to that parking lot, right? But just an FYI, there are existing plant lists for those of you who are interested in teaching in places that don't have people teaching there already.
Every one of the Douglas County open spaces has a few plants that are probably unique in Douglas County to those open spaces, but there's a huge amount of overlap. So before doing like a class in the low part of Lincoln Mountain, I would want to compare to what they could see there to what they could see at Dawson Butte or Hidden Mesa or other places, because there is so much overlap. And if we want to offer our students variety during the 3 courses, we do need to consider that the areas where we teach are quite different. It's like Sandstone Ranch has a riparian area that's pretty unique to Douglas County. And every spot has some different things. And of course, if you're teaching different times of year, that helps too.
It'd be
But
nice
I
to
think
have an
we're-
Alpine area.
I think we're out of time, aren't we?
I'll throw out just a couple
Yeah, we're
other
getting there.
thoughts, if I can. Along the Plum Creek Bike Trail, just in Castle Rock, there's a lot blooming down there, and that's a different
Oh,
environment, and that's easy access from a lot of different places. I've also hiked around, and there's been a lot of disturbance out here, so that's probably not a best idea. I was going to suggest down at CAF, we've got a concert. The Douglas Land Conservancy has a conservation easement at CAF on the Lowell Ranch, and they've got a great riparian area, but they've been doing so much work down there that it's been disturbed a lot. So it's probably not the best option right now. I've seen some.
They've replanted native plants that aren't
The native plant
that
mixes, yeah.
area.
I've seen
No.
things swimming out there that don't belong, so that's probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
But Plum Creek might be an interesting option because it has great access and that it just has, it might have some different things out there than we see in some of our drier areas.
Yeah, and you could always have a day out at Columbine Open Space too.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of official plant lists there, but boy, when I start, every time I go, I start putting down the plants that I've seen that day, and it's huge. So
yeah, you've taken me out there.
It doesn't get a lot of.
Barb and I started a plant list there too, and maybe someday all of us who've started plant lists there should get together and
yeah, combine them. Get our date.
But so you mentioned that in jest a bit, but we do all have plant lists that we keep on the places that we go around. That might be a nice thing for us collaboratively to do. Maybe not do the database that we're talking about updating, but at least have a place, a Dropbox or something else that we can all upload our findings, and that way those are accessible to the rest of the trainers. I think that could be really valuable.
I have one final suggestion. Other than, I wish there was an alpine area for you guys to teach. But also the other thing is that it would really be nice, I think, to try and get someone to give us a talk, just sort of continuing education kind of thing. I don't know, somebody along the lines of Jennifer Ackerfield, if we could nab her, or somebody else from DBG or John Vickery. There's just innumerable people, but I think it would be kind of interesting to do that, and do it for for everybody, for us and for the Jeffco group and all that.
Will that training this spring?
I'm sorry?
Include some of that kind of thing?
We are meeting next week to plan and organize that trainers meeting. So don't know yet is the short answer. I'm not quite sure what Irene Shonley has in store and what she's thinking on that. So time will tell.
I nominate Lucinda to do an alpine class up in Breckenridge. We'll do a field trip. It will be
Yes.
I would be very down for that as well. I go crazy in the Alpines. So Lucinda, if you ever want to double team up there, let me know.
Kelly Ambler teaches an NPM Alpine class that I'm going to take this summer.
Oh, lovely passes.
I wanted to take it this last year. She had great obstacles to overcome, like a road that was closed.
Right.
Area.
Yeah.
But she's a wonderful alpine plant.
Yeah, I think she's who I learned from a few years ago.
It's just that she teaches for what, Jefferson? I
Well,
guess.
yeah, it's through Jefferson. But I mean, we're all together.
Our students can take classes anywhere.
Yeah. The other place that's really nice and very, very accessible is Mount Evans, or whatever they're calling it now. That one, you can go up to Mount Goliah is lovely, and Summit Lake used to be lovely, but it's so accessible that you can do that. I can't do it anymore, unfortunately, but somebody could and should.
So we have 9 minutes left. One of my last questions to you all. I kind of touched on having that thank you hike for you all to explore a open space in Arapahoe County. And I'm wondering what would be good for you guys. Do you think March, April?
Oh gosh.
It's an open space in Arapahoe County called Bijou.
Way over there.
Since March is supposed to be our snowiest month, April might be a little bit better.
Okay.
Boy, that's so hard to say. April? Gosh, and that could be snowy. Well, you know, we used to teach a lot in May a long time ago, and we would always get snowed out. So
Mm,
you just never know.
You know,
right.
You could always schedule it and then say, you know, have a snow date. If it's somewhere, you know, somewhere on the lower elevations. It'd either be wonderful or terrible.
Right. Is summer then a better time to do that? Or do you want to keep it to spring? When we got blooming plants?
be kind of nice to do it before we get really busy with summer hikes and summer plans.
Okay. Maybe we'll look at a
I
date
think.
in April or May. Okay.
Plus, I don't think there's a lot of tree cover out there, so the summer would be pretty toasty,
Okay.
I would imagine.
Okay. Well, if you guys can, I don't know, do you want to meet again to go over class dates, or you guys just want to send me your class dates and then we'll get it into Eventbrite and get it all scheduled?
I think emails would suffice.
Okay. All right.
Just a
So
thought. Somebody else
one-
might think differently.
One more thing, and this is not directly related, but Lenore is way too modest to say anything, but she wrote a wonderful novel that's a first of a series that is being published in January.
Mhm.
And hopefully she will let us all know when it's available and we'll all go out and get a copy and read it. So that's one reason why why Lenore, hey Heather, I just committed you. Why
I'd like to
Lenore
be in it.
is so
I know.
very busy, is that she's about to publish a wonderful, wonderful book, and we're all looking forward to that, Lenore.
Well, thank you.
Give you a little, so tell us the name.
Oh, it's Dying to Ride. It's about horses.
A mystery, right?
And a few people. Mainly horses.
You have a few people.
Horses. Dialogue's
The
tricky.
good part is about horses.
Oh, funny.
I'm on mute, sorry. Well, thank you all for meeting today. And yeah, give me your dates and we'll get the classes and the books, and then I'll pick a day like I did last year and let everybody know this is the day and this is the time when the classes will open, so we make it fair for everybody, because we do still have our waiting list. And people are still very interested in the classes, but sounds like we got 4 solid classes this year, which is great. So thank you, ladies. And if you guys want to do any one-day classes at any locations, let me know, and I can work on trying to get those scheduled for you and get them put out there. And thank you, guys. Is there anything else, or you guys have any other questions?
No, thank you very much for arranging the meeting.
Yeah.
And thank you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Wonderful
guys.
to see everybody's faces.
Hi, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.